so I'm Stefan. I'm a local wedding photographer and videographer. I'm sitting here with Gabris and Valerie Ingold, is that how you say it? From In Photography, and we just want to talk about what they offer. So what do you guys do?
We shoot anything that anybody will pay us for.
Okay, what is that?
So, the sky's the limit. He shoots commercial, we shoot headshots, we shoot weddings, we shoot family shots, portraits, engagement shoots. So, yeah, you name it.
What is it mostly? Is there any, can you say a percentage? How much weddings?
You would know the percentages.
Actually, I should know those off the top of my head. I haven't really closed out 2017 yet, but it's 50-50 pretty much between weddings and essentially commercial portrait work. There's a lot of work for hire stuff I'm still doing, some second shooting, some assisting. It really is all over the gamut, but I've noticed that over the last couple of years, weddings and portrait work have kind of leveled out one-to-one in that regard.
Cool. Just give me an idea of why you shoot weddings. Besides the money thing.
I think we got into weddings because a friend asked us to. And for me, I really love weddings. I love everything about them. I really love everything about them, truthfully. I love, that the couple came together and chose all of the most of the time, to the minuscule details. There's just so much thought that goes into it and so much planning, and even so-called cookie-cutter weddings have individualized details that really speak to the couple, and it's fun. They're a party. It's neat.
Well, it should be said that Val's a people watcher. She loves watching just people and the human spirit sort of out in the wild. Just want to see what they're gonna do. So it's like a perfect ground. Like someone's paying her to sit there and watch and observe. So I think that suits you well.
And dance.
And dance, of course, yeah.
Cool. So how would you describe your photo style?
It's interesting you asked that. Do you want me you know how it is when you talk to clients at a consult, they'll ask you, style, genre, what they're looking for. And I think because I've worked for so many different people that personally my work spans a lot of different genres as far as photojournalism, more staged sort of dramatic images, and looking at my portfolio from 2017, I really noticed a lot of the images were dark, not an exposure, just sort of kind of just dark, contrasty, dramatic, moody images. And I don't know if that's a reflection upon me or my character or that year, but I just noticed that of my selects, the images that I had in there, I noticed a lot of really contrasty, dramatic sort of images. So, and as much as that being a style, I mean, obviously I'm not going to shoot the whole day that way. It's not possible most of the time. But I did notice that sort of reflecting on 17 and how contrasty and kind of dark the work was. I think I might need to lighten things up a little bit in 18. But people have been hiring me for that, and that's kind of
more of a signature look.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of nice to have that. Obviously they know what they're getting into, but it still spans a wide berth of a little bit of photojournalism, a little bit of natural light, a little bit of off-camera, contrasty, dark, dramatic. So,
yeah, cool. You already mentioned that you shoot stuff besides weddings. Want to tell me more about what kind of commercial jobs?
Well, I primarily shoot weddings and assist with the engagement photos and family shoots and whatnot. So Steve is primarily the commercial photographer.
I've been shooting more, I've had the privilege of shooting with Buffalo Spree for the past several months, 3 months, I think 3 months makes it several.
3 months.
And it's been really great to have that opportunity to work with them. I think that the wedding mindset translates really well to editorial, being able to think on your feet and make images from nothing, and being able to work in sort of challenging settings. And that's been really fun. Headshots, portrait work, developing businesses, just having stock for clients to show themselves on their about pages, what have you, as well as what they do, environmental portraiture. I think that that's where I personally excel in just communicating with people and fleshing out what it is that they do and hopefully some of their personality. And I've also been getting some, I have for a long time, and I continue to do work for hire stuff, whoever it is, they are double booked and they need someone to go in the field and represent them. Again, that's been a real kind of honor to do that, to be trusted with somebody else's business or brand. And the exposure that I've gotten from that has been, University of Buffalo and many of the schools they're in, Dulville College, the list goes on and on and on. And I've had some really tremendous opportunities, but it's really striking, in the last 2-3 years to be put in that position. Someone trusts you enough with their brand, their logo, their business, their reputation, and now you're out there shooting on behalf of them, and they trust you to do that. And they keep hiring me, so I assume I'm doing a good job. But I want to challenge myself and create something that's rich for the client, but also obviously I want to make sure I'm getting safe, clean shots that tell the story of what both the other photographer, their business and brand, as well as the actual creative director, what they want. So it's really you're towing a lot of different lines to do that. But it's been a great challenge. I really enjoyed doing it over the last 3 years.
I don't think in that list you mentioned food photography, which is something that you've kind of dabbled in over the years.
I have, and Buffalo Spree has been having me shoot some food. It's amazing that I look at people like Casey Pratt and other people in the area who shoot food, and my Luke, we're here at Victory, and Luke's food work, I've got to see some of his stuff recently, and it's incredible, the work that's out there. So I have a long way to go to get my food portfolio up to par. But again, Spree's been hiring me. I've been shooting some food for them, and I just endeavor to get better and do better work for them in that capacity. I love food personally. I'm not a chef, but I enjoy being around chefs, and they are creatives in their own right. But to communicate with them, get a background on where they studied and where their restaurant is and where their passion is and how they operate in that environment, and hopefully flesh some of that out and shoot it, whether it's the actual dish, them making the dish, all of the above, that whole experience is a lot of fun. And I've been getting to do that with Spree, and that's been pretty exciting.
And doing personal projects along the way also.
Yeah.
With food photography.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there any wedding in particular that was especially cool, something one of your favorite weddings ever, a destination thing, or just something local that was?
Well, I know what yours is. You mentioned destination, so.
Yeah, certainly. We went to Jamaica to shoot one of my college friends' weddings and got paid to go to Jamaica. It was pretty neat. We shot at the Bellhurst. That was a beautiful wedding.
I almost forgot about
incredible
that.
location.
I forgot about all these.
And then of course we've shot some crazy ones where people were taking apart the bus and taking liquor from behind the bar and stuff like that. So those always stick out.
Yeah. Cool. I actually personally, even though I've also shot in Mexico and I shot one in Brazil, but I have one in Buffalo actually, just at the Stead. That was definitely one of my favorite ones. So Kai from Germany was here for that, and then we had shot both of them their engagement session in New York City, about a year before, and then just the whole day was super cool because they already knew us well and everything was just interesting. The only weird thing was that they left for 45 minutes to go back to the hotel room to drink more, and then we had to talk them into. We haven't done photos with the two of you outside. We know it's a hot day. Let's go out there for at least 15 minutes, and then afterwards, at least they told me. I showed them the photos that was in Hoboken, New Jersey, and then they were, it's so good that we went outside and photos. That's so awesome. I was
That's awesome.
Okay, let's talk about this concept of the ideal client. Do you have anybody who, a way how you would describe your ideal client, specifically for weddings?
Well, and I think I have a pretty strong reference point on this, and maybe you can supplement, but or you have your own idea on it. I personally, I hate to use the reference, but Martha Stewart weddings, I love them. I mean, if you ever look at a Martha Stewart wedding magazine, you look at one of those weddings, they're idyllic. I mean, they're incredible. And the budgets, of course, some of them get really insane. But I think from our perspective as creatives, we know that the day doesn't look like that. I mean, it does. I mean, the background is great and all this other stuff. All this stuff that goes in, all those details, the minutia is there. But we make it look better. And, you know, sometimes a smaller or a scaled wedding or what have you can or does look amazing by the way we shoot it. And that's our job, right, is to bring that detail out. So I guess that's kind of my ideal client. I mean, and there are times too, there have been times, you know, certainly over the last couple of years where you're shooting and I'm like, this is it, man. I'm in that wedding now. And you really want to kind of have that seamless sort of Martha Stewart feel. And really, you've got that opportunity. Like, let's bring it to fruition here. And we've had a couple of those. I don't know that I've had it yet, but I've come close a couple of times where it's been pretty ideal, and it's like my job now to bring all those moving pieces together. So that's kind of, I'm searching for it, you know. I know it's out there. Care to add on that, or?
Yeah, I think a little bit of a different perspective. I think my ideal, or what I would think our ideal client is somebody who the photography is very important to. You know, so if you've got somebody who really is kind of getting a photographer because their mom says that they should, or because, you know, they're kind of being told that that's what you have to have, you know, it doesn't make it a priority during the day, you know, and it kind of, it's nice to work with a couple that it's really important to, and they're excited about it, they're excited about the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely makes it way easier. Okay, Steve. So we are both involved in ASMP. You recently became the local chapter president. Want to talk a little bit more about what we do there?
No. No, I mean, I'm very excited. I mean, it comes with challenges, and it comes with some organizational skills that I maybe don't possess. I'll just be sort of brutally honest in that regard. But I think it's a great challenge for me personally to grow in that vein. But what I enjoy about the organization, what I'm finding that I kind of thought I might enjoy, what I find myself enjoying is the camaraderie and the access to people. There's a guy, I'm going to mention his name, Craig Melvin, is the Buffalo Bills photographer. And when I worked for Pagula Sports and I was shooting for the Buffalo Bills as well, I worked for the business development team. He worked actually on the field specifically just to photograph the players, you know, in action. Mm-hmm. Great photographer. One of the things I love about this guy, and you can tell how like frenetic and kind of nutty I am, is just his calm, his level of resolve, and just his gentle way and kindness. And, you know, the press room is crazy. On game day, there's a million pieces. You got HBO and ESPN and Buffalo News and, you know, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, all these people from all these different media outlets, and it's nuts. And there's some egos in there and not and whatever, but this guy is the staff photographer for the Buffalo Bills and is just cool as a cucumber, you know. And I was blown away to find out that he was an ASMP member. I didn't know that. And his membership came up for renewal. So I made my call list, and I called the guy, and I was like, I was excited to call him, you know, and I said, I don't know if you remember me, so on and so forth, and we got to talk a little bit, and we had a whole conversation and everything like that. I didn't know the full extent of what he does, and we got to talk a little bit about that, but he may be one of our speakers. So, you know, that's what we're doing right now as an organization, and always have done, but we're put together programming that's relevant to you know, professional photographers. It's a resource for legal content. There's a huge battle going on right now for copyright in Washington and some legislation that's coming down the pike, and ASMP is at the forefront of making sure that photographers' rights are protected. So that's one side of it, a side that we don't get to see necessarily directly all the time. But the flip side of that is all the programming that we put out there for people. I mean, you have Todd Joyce, the program you put together coming up next month is going to be awesome. It's a pricing workshop about, you know, what goes into putting together quotes and how, understanding the full scope of different projects. And, we do that quite often. That's going to be an amazing event. And then coming forth in May, I've got this guy, recommended by Luke, but this guy, Clay Patrick McBride, I mean, my God, his work is incredible. This client roster, it blows my mind. It really, I mean, you look at his client roster and you look at the work, and it is, for me, it's as good as it gets. I mean, it's to be in the room with those people and have to bring that out. I mean, on one hand, it's what we do every day, right? And like now you've got this great subject, and so it's almost like your job is easier. But in my mind, I'm thinking, no way, that's harder. Like you got to get over your ego and like be real in the moment and be creative and come up with something. I don't know. There's just so many challenges that go into this stuff. I'm really looking forward to having him as a speaker, and he's gonna be criticizing our work. So I think that's gonna be
constructive criticism.
I'm definitely constructive. Definitely constructive, but I'm warned by him that he is very direct and he's going to tear us apart, which I personally am looking forward to. We went to art school together, so we're no stranger to having our egos and our images and our work torn apart. So it's a good thing,
Oh yeah, that's something we didn't mention yet, that you're like technically a husband and wife team pretty much. So.
Yeah, it's my wife. We met in University of Buffalo School of Photography. I was studying Ansel Adams' zone system at the time. She was a couple of grades or classes ahead of me. I was kind of a newbie at that point, and I was studying zone system, and I was actually a darkroom monitor. And I started hitting on her and asked her to go out on a date, and she didn't think that I was a heterosexual male.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were male. I didn't think you were heterosexual.
Well, you knew I was male, right? But didn't believe I was hetero because I was playing guitar and I was the guitar man. I probably had
there was a lot of reasons. There's a few reasons.
And here we are, 20-something years later.
Almost 20 years.
Sometimes you can convince people.
Anywho, so yeah,
okay,
that's my
cool.
story.
Last question would be if you have anything in the future where you want your business to bring. Like, do you want any future plans? What do you want to evolve in, or anything? Or do you want to just keep doing what you're doing?
I think probably as we get older, the ratio of that 50-50 will decrease. I think the number of weddings that we'll do will decrease. It's as you get older, I think the 12-hour days, 13, 14-hour days, that are just constant moving and constant, just equipment draped on your body just kind of gets wearing on you. So I think as we move forward, that will probably adjust itself, but I don't know. And then, more clients, more projects, bigger projects.
I was talking to Doug Levere a little bit about this today, and Craig Melvin a couple of days ago about, what it's like to be a freelance, and you never know where your next paycheck's coming from. I know you've done very well in your bookings, and I assume that's kind of booked out, and you know in that regard, maybe the next year or however. But for me, it's definitely a struggle, to look at like a month and you're like, I don't have anything booked for this month. It's like technically you don't have a job for the whole month. And it kind of blows your mind. But I've been doing this now for a while, and I've gotten really comfortable with my schedule and the way that is. It's still definitely pride swallowing at times and scary. But I think I've come to embrace it. And one of the things that works so well for me, and I don't always receive it well, but I'm the creative. I'm the guy thinking about f-stops and lighting and weird stuff and trying to, push the envelope a little bit. And not to say that Val isn't, but Val is more pragmatic. She's the suit. She's the business person. She crafts our message. She deals with my, correspondence, is there to kind of bring me back down to earth. And, I think going forward, so in that regard, and that kind of scheduling or what have you, she'll be the one pushing me like, hey, did you make your cold calls today? Who are you reaching out to? What emails did you send? What messages did you send? What's the plan? What are you doing? So it's good to have that to keep me on point. So if things are slow, it's like, go do a personal project or go reach out to someone or come up with a client list. Did you look at Buffalo Business First today? What's going on in the world, in the news? I mean, there's plenty of going on out there. go, as Gary Vaynerchuk and Tim Ferriss and those other people say, and Casey Neistat, go do work, you know, and so anytime I find myself in a lull, I have to kind of like drag myself out of my office and go do it, and that's what you're doing right here, right now, so I appreciate that immensely. So anyway, I hope that answers that.
Cool, yeah, thank you both very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.